All right, guys, we are here for our latest episode of Mostly Uneducated Opinions. We have a substitute. Welcome, Marcus.
Hi.
So today we're talking about performance enhancing drugs and the CrossFit Games and CrossFit athletes specifically. I know, very hot topic, very controversial. We're going to talk about toxic masculinity and is F45 dying? So if you guys get anything out of this show, a little piece of value, make sure you tell someone about it and share the love. We do appreciate that. So currently, the CrossFit Games is underway. We're up to day 4 at the time of recording of this. By the time you guys listen to this on Friday, it'll be over and we'll know. But a little bit of controversy. Ricky Gerard has served a 4-year ban for doping. I think he was using some SARMs, like Osterin, from what I saw. Marcus?
Yeah, I can't recall exactly what he was using. Yeah. But yeah, he did serve a 4-year ban and he's back, and it's pretty controversial. I think as expected, made it pretty much straight to the games already.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at the leaderboard now. He's currently in second behind Justin Medeiros.
Yeah. Could potentially win it.
I mean, I was just telling you before the podcast, there was one of the events. It's called the Echo Press. Not sure what it was, but he came 28th. He did not complete it within the cap. So I don't know, had he done a bit better on that?
The Echo Press, was that just Echo Bike and shoulder presses and something?
Probably something like that.
Yeah, something's tough. So yeah, just kind of like for me, first thing that comes up when a dude is served a 4-year doping ban, then comes back and then does second, like once a cheater, always a cheater. Like, what do you think, Marcus?
Yeah, I think I'd probably be inclined to believe that. I don't know. I mean, if you kind of sit here and you believe that at these like kind of really, really top levels in any sport that a lot of these people aren't on anything, then you're probably a bit ignorant, I would think. Especially with CrossFit, like the absolute degree that they're pushing themselves for how many days they're doing it, how many times a day they're doing it. Like, I understand that they're specimens, are almost like superhumans. Like, they train so hard and they're really dedicated. But, you know, like, we know people within our circles who are super dedicated, like super push themselves, and it's like
they're nowhere near that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we know people that are like, you know, they train 4 hours a day and they can't even get close to the levels of these guys. You know, arguably they are doping as well, which is the scary part.
Yeah. So, and it's like you look at some of the weight. I mean, it's a different sport, but even like weightlifting. I mean, you look at like even some of the youngsters coming up now. I mean, I know that they're training pretty much their entire lives, but like some of these people are like ridiculously low weights and they're just moving like 200 kilos overhead.
Yeah.
But then the CrossFit guys are not only doing that, but they're doing all the insane cardio shit as well. And it's fucking mental. So
yeah. So we're going to discuss this point. I looked it up and like, I'm not out here saying that, you know, all CrossFit Games athletes are on fucking gear, but there were on their website 65 people currently banned that are, you know, within the realms of being tested. So within the realms of being tested, I would assume you'd be at some kind of level that is worth mentioning, not like any local levels or anything like that. 65 of them already banned for banned substances, which is a decent percentage, I would say.
Yeah, and if it's at that top level, that's like a lot of people, and to publicly disclose that as well.
Yeah, and then you got to assume that 65 have been caught.
Yeah.
And there's got to be a lot more that aren't caught. Yeah. So, you know, like, is it a clean sport? Is any sport a clean sport?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I believe you've watched it. I think you told me to watch it, the Icarus documentary, which was about the cycling. Like that was that I watched that and kind of came out of that thinking that there's probably no sport that's entirely clean. Yeah. Just because of the degree to which these athletes are pushing their body and their body's ability to recover.
Yeah. The Icarus documentary, it's on Netflix. Basically, there's a Russian sports scientist which leads their doping program. And he, you know, essentially comes out and he wants to, you know, uncover what Russia is doing in terms of doping in sport. And it comes out that, you know, every single athlete in their programs in any sport besides ice skating was doping. Like, we're talking like over 1,000 athletes, which is absolutely
like
crazy.
Pretty much the whole
Russian were doping. And, you know, it kind of came out that a lot of the athletes didn't quote unquote know about it. Like they were just going in and being told like, bend over, show your cheeks. We're going to jab you with something and, we're going to watch your performance boom. But, if the Russian Federation are doing that and getting caught, I'd assume there's a lot more doping going on in pro sports. Well, I had the opportunity to work in some high level sports in America, and there were, certain stories that we would hear that, a large percentage of athletes over there were doping, and the coaches knew about it. And even they were just trying to essentially keep the athletes shielded from whoever the testing people were. And then like another question comes out here is like, Marcus, if you were just to take the reins off it and let everyone dope, would it be just a better spectacle in sports?
I think to a degree probably would be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can imagine like the Olympics or something, like there was an Olympics where it was just like, okay, you've got free reign.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. Dope however you like. Train however you like.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to put you through like the hardest shit ever, and you're just going to see what you can do.
Yeah.
Like some of these people, like it would literally be like watching fucking Spartans or gods or some shit.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think about the CrossFit girls, to bring it back to CrossFit here, and I'm like, the guys you can look at and you're like, yeah, that's possible to like look like that, bodybuilding or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I look at the girls and I'm like, man, that bitch has an 8-pack, which is made of bricks. She's got traps bigger than any dude I've ever seen. Her thighs are like fucking yoked.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, is that possible? Yes, like the tip of the spear, I understand that it is possible, but there's fucking like 60 of them and they all look like mini dudes.
Yeah, and you're thinking like, I mean, if you're thinking genetically, like the percentage of people, male or female, that fit into this category, it's like 0.00001%.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, oh my God, there's a concentration of 60, 70 of them, and you're telling me that they're all natural.
Yeah.
They're all recovering from 4 workouts a day for 5 days straight at the CrossFit Games. Like, come on.
Yeah. So I've got no problem with anyone doping, especially athletes and pro athletes. I think it's koosh, it's like your job, like fucking, whatever, take the handbrake off and let's fucking go, like get it done. But the problem is like the general consumer or the punter, they would look at them because they have no idea about doping. They're not any type of, and they look at it and they say, this person does this sport and they look like this. So I'm going to do this sport. And it just becomes this whole cycle of, it's basically setting them up for failure because they think if they do X sport, they can look like X, when there's a lot more that goes, they could look like X or some version of X, but A, they're the tip of the spear. B, they could be doping. And C, maybe they just don't have the work ethic that these guys at the top have.
Yeah.
So like, that's my main qualm with it, especially when doping is, not spoken about or not checked or not, caught. Yeah. It's the general punter just thinks that's just normal.
And then they're idolizing these people, and then they're starting to put in the effort, and they're starting to, I guess, follow some of the habits, and then they're getting into their head going, oh, why don't I look like X?
Yeah.
Why can't I do Y? And it's like, well, you're not them. You're not, maybe doping or something like that. But, even in other sports, like what comes to mind is, I guess, bodybuilding in a sense. Like you talk to a lot of people that are kind of new to the sport and heading in, and, they're enjoying it for the most part. They're finding out the struggles and whatnot, but more often than not, the people I've spoken to, they'll be like, I'll never do roids. I'll never get on the gear.
12 months later.
Yeah, 12 months later, they get like a, first or a second under their belt. And then it's kind of like to get to that next stage, to get the pro card, to compete with everyone else at that level. Because everyone else is on it, you have to get on it. Like to even place at that level, like you have to get on it. And then it's kind of like a year later, you talk to them, it's like, oh, well, I said that a year ago, but here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, things change after a while, especially in those circumstances. So, from what I've been chatting about with coaches and athletes and people around the world, it's not easy, but it's doable to get away, as we saw in Icarus with doping and testing. Essentially, like the more money you have, the easier it is. It's about like knowing the right people and having the right connections and these types of things. So in Australia, you can tell the doping authorities like what days and times you want to get tested. So let's say on a Wednesday night, you say, I want to get tested at 10 p.m. They rock up to your house and then you don't answer the door. There's not really much they can do about it. And you can keep doing that for a time and then cycle on, cycle off, and then get your levels back to a certain level. It's when I hear stories like that, I'm like, well, this could be pretty easy to get around, especially like if you're not on it at competition and you're only on it in your training times, like I think it's doable.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think
like this is two, pretty uneducated opinions here chatting about this.
Yeah. And I mean, I would probably argue that my opinion is more uneducated than yours, obviously, but more uneducated than Clint's when he's on here as well.
Yeah.
But I think, to your point about the Australian testing system, I think it was from watching Icarus, or it might have been something else that I read, but I think it was the CrossFit one for the Americans. Actually, it was like random day, random time. You don't know when they're coming. Well, they say you don't know when they're coming, but I feel like on your point about knowing when they're going to come, you're okay. Wednesday, 10 p.m. I want you to come test me. Then I'm either not going to answer the door, or I'm so deeply involved in this sport and I know like I'm on the gear that I've got someone that's coaching me, telling me when to get on it, when to get off it, so that it, it's in my system when I need it, but it's not in my system when I'm being tested.
Yeah.
And so they're never going to find it. So.
Yeah. I can't remember the report of the study, but they, surveyed a bunch of Olympic athletes and they said, like you can use steroids and then your life expectancy is basically going to halve, or performance enhancing drugs, but you're going to medal at the Olympics or the games or wherever you're at. Or you can not use them, never medal, and you're going to have a long life. What do you think they chose?
They would choose the medal.
Yeah, 100%. They were like 100%. Willing to halve their life expectancy for that, which is, admirable.
Yeah, to an extent. And then, but
dumb on the other hand.
I mean, is that immaturity in a sense? Like, is that kind of, oh yeah, no, I want this medal now. I want the prestige. Like I want everyone to scream my name, but then they get the medal. 5-10 years later, someone else is competing in their position in their sport, getting a medal. Then they're all but forgotten about, and then it's kind of like, your life expectancy is halved. Like you're going to live to 50, you're not going to live to fucking 80, 90, whatever.
Yeah, it's funny. I did post this on my Instagram a couple months ago. I'm not sure if you saw it, but speaking of life expectancy, this is a huge tangent here. Everyone is like, yeah, I'm going to live to 100, but like the average age is like 75 in Australia. So it's like middle age for us is 37.
Yeah.
Which when you think about it, 37 being your middle age it's pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then you're halfway there.
Yeah.
And then probably like plus 55, 60, you don't really have that many good years left. Like you'd be fucking crippled and decrepit like most of the 60-year-olds that I know.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So it's like life's very short and people just forget that.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, that's weird to think.
It's a trip, hey. It's
that's a trip. The middle age is 37.
20, you're like 10 years away from that, from being middle age.
Yeah, I'm turning 26 soon. I feel like it's fucking almost 30. Like, well, it is technically almost 30, but it's just kind of like 37's middle age, and like halfway through your life expectancy, or halfway, it sounds like a trip, but it's kind of like you've still got half to go. But I think
it's not a good half.
No, it's not
like
a good
the best half is done.
Yeah, but then there's also like middle aged or 37. Just I guess it might be conditioning and growing up. It just feels so much older than it is at the same time.
Yeah, I used to, when I was 18 or 17, I'd be like, I want to be married and have kids at 25. You get to 25 and I'm like, fuck no. Like,
that was me.
Fuck no.
That was me.
Yeah, and I'm 31 and getting married in a couple of months, and like I even feel like that's young, but kids are still ages off.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the old dad, like 40.
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
The age is off for me. I'm like at bare minimum 30, but then even the more I think about that, I'm like, no, like 33 at least.
Yeah. And I hear dudes talk about it all the time. They're like, I'm going to have kids young so I can grow up with them and play with them and do that. And I'm like, yeah, but you're a decrepit cunt, like that's why, like, I'm not like that, without sounding like Homelander here,
You're a decrepit cunt.
Yeah, like they're black, got sore backs and they can't move and sore knees. And, at 40, I intend to be moving. And like flexible and fit and all the types of things. So having kids at that age is going to be no problem for me.
Yeah, and you do definitely see that. I guess the parents that look after themselves and the ones that don't, and the ones that are thinking about doing activities and playing with their kids and stuff like that, and the ones that aren't. Because the ones that are sitting down doing nothing every day, poor diet, not exercising. They are going to be decrepit. They are going to be sore. They are not going to be able to do those things that they want to do with their children, with their family. But, we've got people within our circles, super mums, as I like to call them. And,
super mills.
Yeah, super mills. And dads as well that are like, they're really fit. They're really on top of their nutrition, their exercise, they're killing it. But it's like, some of these guys are having their kids, late 30s, early 40s. But you just know that the whole first 10, 20 years of their kids' lives, when they do want to be doing those activities with them, they can.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. So bringing home the point about performance-enhancing drugs in the CrossFit Games, like this originally came about because I saw a bunch of articles published about people being caught doping. And, you know, the reason I want to talk about it is because, the average punter just maybe wouldn't be aware of it. And I would just like them to know that, you know, potentially these people that we're seeing out there absolutely crushing it are using something, which means it would be unattainable for the average person unless they were to get on it. So it's just like this whole segment is about education around that. And just to be aware that, you know, in pro sports, in any sport, there is a degree or a percentage of them that are using performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah. And do you think if in a given sport, it is illegal to do and you get caught, that you should be banned for life?
For sure.
Yeah.
If they're just going to make it like a couple of year ban for each, it's not really too much of a harsh punishment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're just going to let people use performance-enhancing drugs, like that's cool, like do it, but just fucking, you know, take the break off. Like, let everyone do it.
Yeah, and you got to think about the precedent that sets as well. You know, if X, like, I mean, for lack of a better example, Ricky Gerard getting caught and being suspended for 4 years, and now he's back and he's killing it, and he's second, could be first.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, if that's the precedent you're setting, then someone else that's potentially going to get caught, they might be, you know, selling it to themselves thinking, oh, if I get caught, like 4 years, like, yeah, that kind of sucks, but I'll be back.
Yeah, 100%. 4 years is not too long to wait if you're like 20, you know, and you'd be 24, you're still in your prime. The only other thing I was just thinking of while you're saying that is like, you know, let's say he used whatever, Austrian or the SARM at the time, you know, like would the effects that he had from using the Austrian 4 years ago, obviously it wouldn't still be in his system and it would be out by now, but like the potential gains that he had in that period, would it still be proven to be beneficial compared to someone that hadn't taken them? And would it still be like that's what I'm thinking is like, just still, is it unfair?
I mean, potentially. I mean, you probably need some sort of complex scientific study on that to actually see if all the benefits that he got from using 4 years ago and in that interim period of 4 years, whether they're still providing him with that competitive advantage going into this year's CrossFit Games. But yeah, no, that's a super interesting point. Yeah,
so thinking about Austrian, from what I know about, it's a SARM. So SARM is a selective androgen receptor modulator. Essentially like a similar effect to testosterone, steroids, or these types of things. But they were originally developed for like cancer rehabilitation. So people come back from cancer so they could build like muscle mass and recovery and these types of things. I'm quite sure that Austrian is more like a recovery one. It's not like out there getting you fucking huge and yoked and stuff like that, not like actual proper steroids. So, you know, if it's more of a recovery drug supplement, like I wouldn't have too much of a problem with that.
Yeah. I mean, the flip side to the coin is, I mean, I'll reiterate, it's mostly uneducated opinions here, especially when it comes to this. And some people can sit here and listen to what we're saying and go, oh yeah, but you know, you're just jealous that you can't lift X, you can't do Y.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
Well, we can't. We're not the tip of the spear either. You know?
But then at the same time, it's like, if you think that these things aren't present in the sports that you're watching, then it's like, you know, maybe you are a bit ignorant. But I was listening to a podcast, I think it was Joe Rogan with the guy from More Plates, More Dates. The guy from More Plates, More Dates.
Derek.
Yeah, he's super knowledgeable. Like, he just starts talking and I'm like, whoa, scientifically.
Yeah, it's too much for me.
Yeah, okay. But Joe Rogan was talking openly about what he takes and what he uses.
Yeah.
And the way that he was putting it, and I think he's very well educated and, you know, he has good opinions and he articulates himself very well. But I think there is a lot of benefits to, you know, potentially doing certain performance enhancing drugs. But the thing is like, I mean, Joe Rogan's a multimillionaire for one. He's getting his bloods done probably every day or every month or something like that. Like it's such a controlled environment.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the everyday people that are looking up at people in different sports and idolizing them and then thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to take X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
It's not a controlled environment, probably not getting bloods done, probably not looking into the deeper effects of taking these things and then, you know, wondering why other things aren't functioning or working properly.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. I know a little bit about TRT and I'll jump on it now because Joe Rogan's on it. So essentially when a man turns like 35, 40, his levels of testosterone just plummet naturally. And testosterone is the most important thing for a man, essentially. Yeah. So, you can get it in a needle, or you can just have shit testosterone for the rest of your life, and it's continually going down. It controls your happiness, like depression, anxiety, mood, like how horny you are. All these types of things are controlled on it. So for a man to, ethically, unethically get it through a needle or a rub or a balm or something, like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, do you?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So, and then like you have a big night, you lose sleep, you're stressed at work, all these types of things, and they will, tank your testosterone.
Yeah, 100%.
From there. So you've got even lower levels of testosterone, or the thing that actually makes you a man.
Yeah.
Which, I don't think is a great thing for society. And in the last 100 years, they have had some research come out testing testosterone from 100 years ago to now, and the natural levels have halved in men.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which you think about that.
To me. Yeah.
Half of them now, we're soy boys now. It's going that way. So, I think Joe Rogan said he was on, around about 120 megs a week, which is pretty fucking low.
Yeah.
For a testosterone dose.
Yeah.
Like Derek from More Plates, More Dates says anything under 300 is like a natty dose.
Oh, so right.
Fair. It's like Joe Rogan's using like quite under. What like a bodybuilder would use
and then
to get jacked.
Yeah, and then he's sitting on the podcast talking about what it's enabling him to do, like the weight training, the jiu-jitsu, and then when you think about the degree to which he's pushing himself physically, at the same time he's in his mid-50s or early 50s, something like that. So it's providing a benefit to enable him to be healthier for longer. And I mean, I probably think the fact that you just pointed out that it's probably in the natural dose level, I don't think it's probably harming anything like his life expectancy or anything like that.
No way. So there are negatives of it. And the big one is that, once you start down the road, the dark road, you kind of need the dark road forever because you'll never get back to the levels you were previously, because it turns off your body's natural ability to produce testosterone. So you're just relying on the chemical testosterone, which is, that's a fucking toss up that you need to make.
Yeah. At some point. I guess in Joe Rogan's case, like he's at that age where the body's pretty much stopped producing.
He's fucking
kind of the only alternative is to, inject it.
Get the needle. Yeah. Would you ever do it if you're older?
I don't know. It depends what my levels are at.
Yeah.
If they were super low and then...
If you had the levels of a woman when you were like 35, 40, would you do it?
Yeah. Really, yeah.
Do women have 10% of our testosterone levels naturally?
Well, you think...
And think how fucking jacked they get with 10%.
Yeah, that's...
we don't know what's really going on there.
Yeah, but that's crazy. But then when you think about like what you just said before about literally we need testosterone to function as men. Yeah. Like it enables us to do everything. Like it's probably one of the most important things in our body.
Yeah.
And if your levels are at that level, then it's kind of like, you do need to go get an educated opinion. You probably do need to, just inject it. I'll say inject it. It's easier.
Yeah. Say it, man. You dirty druggie. Yeah. Man, you can feel when you don't have testosterone. Like you feel it, dude. Like if you don't have a rock hard fucking boner in the morning, like you know. Like I'm sure you felt it as well. Like you just, you can't be fucked with anything.
No, it's interesting. So I kind of timely, really. I had a sort of a routine blood test yesterday morning, so I'll see the results for that in like a week or two when I go to the doctors. But I'm actually interested to see what mine is at, because if there's anything that's affecting mine, and I know the second I bring this up, I'm probably going to get flamed by you, but if there's anything that's affecting mine, it's sleep. And I read a tangent again, but the book Why We Sleep, if you haven't read it, read it. It's probably
Matt Walker.
Yeah, it will scare you straight. But starting to read that again,
I am straight.
I'm like, I really need to fix my sleep. But like going back to your point, you do notice it, or you think you notice it when your testosterone levels are low. I'm sure they're fluctuating all the time, but you can definitely feel it. Like you just feel flat. You're not getting hard on as much as you probably should. Yeah. You're thinking, you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, I'm 25.
You're like, am I gay?
Yeah.
I've thought that before.
Yeah. And then you start throwing, fucking shit into the mix, like alcohol and stuff like that. Nights out. And you're fucking there, you're like, fuck, why can't I get up?
Plummeted. You're getting fat. Yeah. In summary on this point here, guys, pro athletes do use performance enhancing drugs regardless of the sport. if you're interested in TRT, then consult your doctor. We're just a couple of fucking idiots, just don't know anything about anything, talking shit. So our next topic kind of leads well into testosterone, and from testosterone here is toxic masculinity real? I know, we're in the age of she, her, hims, isms, pronouns, etc. And something that's come out from the woke crowd is this toxic masculinity thing. So, like, Marcus, do you think toxic masculinity is real?
Yeah, I think it's real. A lot of the time, I think it's another term to just describe ego or inflated ego.
Yeah.
To me, toxic masculinity is when someone, is displaying their ego or inflating their ego to the point where it's like at a detriment to others and those around them, through either the way that they're behaving or the things that they're saying or doing, and they're, negatively impacting people around them. Like, that to me is what probably toxic masculinity is.
Yeah. I feel like it's very strong in the 18 to 25s, at that highest point. And I think there's just a lack of consciousness or understanding about themselves or the world and everyone around them and their role in it. They just think that they can be toxic and have no repercussions on it. What are your thoughts? Yeah,
it's a maturity thing. Definitely, I mean, for men between 18 and 25, being 25-year-old myself, it's just an immaturity thing, but it's an immaturity coupled with a lack of awareness. Like, a lot of these men that are very toxic, they're just not aware of their behaviors or what they're doing, and not aware of how it's impacting others as well. And then they're within circles or within environments that I guess are just encouraging that kind of behavior as opposed to like calling them out on it. That would be my opinion, because and I'm not trying to say this to be like, I'm not prone to toxic masculinity. No, we all are. Like, we all are. Like, you just get more aware of what it is, and when you're contributing to behaviors within yourself that, are toxic.
The reason I can see it so clearly is because I was the fucking most toxic bloke at like 20, 21, 22, 23. Still in my mid-20s I was. And then fucking one day you just grow up a little bit more and more and more until a point where, you can catch yourself out before you do anything that's going to be toxic. But I see it, and I kind of just wish that there were like more education on it and the effects, like the potential negative effects that it has on others. Because I feel like it turns off a lot of people, like when a dude is being fucking toxic as fuck.
Yeah, 100%.
Kills the mood, kills the vibe, kills the energy.
And it generally kills the vibe and kills the energy for people that are aware of those behaviors. If that person is in an environment where they're surrounded by other men, I suppose, who are also, contributing to toxic masculinity, then it's not necessarily getting called out on, it's getting high-fived instead.
Yeah.
But I do agree that there probably definitely needs to be more education on it, and just, I guess, more discussion around awareness of like these behaviors and habits, because, from my experience, it's taken me actually experiencing myself being within that toxic masculinity realm and like hurting people to come out the other side and be like, that was fucked up. Like, that was fucked up. I fucked up. Like, I don't want to be that person. And
at least you're consciously aware of it and then apologize.
And that's a good point. But then at the same time, unfortunately, from that learning and from that experience, like, someone else has probably got like really hurt by it or really affected by it, which, unfortunately sometimes that has to happen for the learning. But I guess with the education and more discussion around the topic, like, maybe we can try and, avoid less people getting hurt and affected by it.
Yeah. It's something that definitely should be taught in some degree. Fuck knows where. Like, who knows where they're going to teach that and fit it in. But fucking school system at the moment is ridiculous anyway.
That's another rabbit hole.
I could get on a tangent here anyway. So I made an Instagram post a couple of months ago. You've definitely liked it and shared it, but it was my most viral post I've ever made. And it was like, don't post "Are you okay?" content and then be a toxic fuck and shred your mates, make fun of everyone, and then fucking post, positive mental health shit online. Like, that is the problem. Like you are the fucking problem, and they just can't even see it. And it'll come around to Are You Okay Day, and these same fucking dudes will post the same shit like, hey, support blokes for mental health.
Yeah.
Hey, like, are you okay? I got a shoulder. But you're the fucking problem, bro.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's, they're literally just waiting for that day, and then it's like, oh, it's Are You Okay Day. Oh, I got to make this post, so then I get validated for making the post. People see that I appear to be doing the right thing. But it's like there's another 364 days in the year, man.
Yeah, where you can't be a toxic fuck.
Yeah. And I mean, I've sat here and I've seen people post and reshare these things on Are You Okay Day, or even when something really unfortunate has happened in one of their circles, or, whether it be suicide or something else. And it's kind of like, oh, you'd hope that sometimes those traumatic situations would make these people like sit and reflect and be like, okay, like I need to change, sort of thing. But they reshare like the Are You Okay thing, and on that day, and then it's like, what they're like the other 364 days of the year. You're like, you're a cunt.
Yeah.
Like, you treat people like
the
shit.
Worst fucking people to be around.
You treat people like shit. And then it's like, you're talking behind people's backs, you're ripping into people, and it's like, what are you doing?
Obviously, Marcus and I feel quite strongly about this topic, as you can tell here. But I'm just thinking in my head, like, what you can do about it, like, now. And I think, how to handle toxic dudes, just call it out. Like, call it as you see it. Because if they don't have any conscious awareness of it going on or what they're saying, then they'll never know.
Yeah.
It'd be a fucking awkward conversation. No one likes to have an awkward conversation. But I'd rather have one awkward conversation, and hopefully it does change things for the better. What are your thoughts? How would you handle it?
As a second to that, I would just say monitor the environment. Like, if it's someone that you're mates with and they're being a bit toxic and they're doing some dumb shit, like, call them out on it.
Yeah.
If you're out on a night out and someone's being a bit toxic masculinity,
I probably wouldn't do that.
Maybe don't know them well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really go up to them, call them out to their face.
You're a toxic fuck.
Yeah, I'd probably get my head kicked.
Yeah, I've never been in a fight, bro. So
not a fight. I'm not a confrontational person. So.
I would get fucking bashed.
I would get rolled. Yeah.
What are the biggest traits of toxic guys that you know?
Definitely inflated ego. Just complete disregard for anyone but themselves. They don't think before they act. Mm-hmm. They just kind of do, and then they cause a lot of fucking chaos, and then afterwards they're like, oh.
Yeah, whatever. Like, that's all part of it. Yeah. I would just say, like, abusive towards their partner as well. Yeah, that's. I'm thinking of a couple of people here, and like the same kind of dudes are all very abusive towards their partner.
And disregard for authority.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the time, authority's there just to enforce rules. It's not there to box you in. Like, rules are there for a reason. Yeah,
especially in Western society. So, final thoughts on, toxic masculinity. Like, if you see it and you know the person, call them out. But I think consciousness precedes change with this. And, like, the way you treat people is everything. And that's, that's what you'll be remembered or you won't be remembered for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Is like your impact and relationship with people. Yeah. And if you're constantly being a fuck and 100%. Pissing people off and being an idiot, then fucking get your shit together.
Yeah, and it's kind of just checking yourself in a sense, like being aware of what you're doing, or taking the opportunity to sit back and reflect on who you are and what you've done and who you've been.
Yeah, and take fucking accountability for it.
Yeah, 100%.
So our final topic here is F45 dying? And Marcus, have you ever done F45 class?
I have done an F45
You have?
class.
Tell us about it.
I've not joined an F45 gym, but I have done an F45
tell us.
class.
I've never done one.
I think at the time it was pretty early on in my kind of training career.
I can so see you doing that with a pink headband on.
No, that came after. Came after.
I don't know what's more gay. Sorry, that's toxic. I'm toxic.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I did more F45 and wore a pink headband, some more MILFs would come after me. I don't know. Who knows?
They do, bro.
Yeah.
You just don't. You're just blind to it. They're filtering.
No, but it was early on in my training career. I think at the time I enjoyed it. I think at the time it was like just different stimuli. But, when you start to learn more about training and nutrition and being strong and being healthy, you like all points lead to strength training, weight training, lifting weights, fucking throwing weight on the bar, throwing plates on the bar. And and it's like it's not random workouts doing circuit. There's places for HIIT and circuits and that kind of stuff, but
not for 45 minutes.
No,
fucking every day. Yeah. So F45 is what the name states, functional 45. Basically, you jump around on Bosu balls and do lunges and crazy stuff and skipping and all sorts of shit. They kind of like just change the name of workouts every couple of weeks to something like fucking Spartacus or like fire or, like the water club, whatever they do. Like they change the
kind of modern day aerobics.
In my, what's essentially happened is, their stock price is plummeted due to their CEO, Adam Gilchrist, stepping down. So it went from $16.10 per share to 70 cents a share, which is fucking astronomical. And from all accounts, they were pumping up their projections and numbers on how many studios they were going to open, which has kind of led to this point now where they're going from downhill. Their forecasted net studio growth went from 1,500 to 550, and they currently have 1,750 gyms around the world. When you think about 1,750 gyms, that's fucking astronomical.
Yeah,
that is huge.
Yeah, that's
so many fucking people. They did lay off 45% of their workforce in Texas. At the moment, just to cut costs.
Yeah, and not to mention, Adam Gilchrist did step down, but he got a
huge payout,
16 million payout or something like that,
which is crazy. I think my thoughts on F45 dying is that everything in the fitness industry has a life cycle.
Yeah.
So every gym, regardless of where you go to, has to reinvent themselves at some point, whether that's 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 36 months. F45 is just through this. They haven't reinvented themselves, which means the demographic or people that are attending it are just sick of it.
Yeah.
And that's why the growth and the uptake has slowed so badly on F45. So, either they reinvent themselves or they're on their way out, if you ask me, because any other gym can do F45 style workouts and it not be their only thing. And they could throw it into the end of a workout, which, that would kill F45, so to speak.
There's probably a few factors that are coming into it, but when F45 kind of first became a big thing, it was like the only gym of its kind doing what it was doing.
Yeah.
And now you look around at the landscape and it's like, there's just too many gyms to name that are following that kind of same formula.
Yeah.
Or maybe doing a slight variation of the F45 formula that's more new and more current. And so they're gaining more popularity for it. I mean, CrossFit's probably the most popular it's been than ever. And there's a lot more CrossFit gyms.
I heard it's not. Really? It's just in our circles that we know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You keep going.
Yeah, but then, some of these other gyms like, I'm trying to think of a couple, can't think of them at the moment, but they're kind of following that kind of 45 minutes to an hour, maybe mainly 45 minutes, like circuits, HIIT kind of thing. But then now they're throwing more barbells into it. They're throwing things like cleans into it.
Yeah.
And snatches and stuff like that. And I think these movements have been made more popular by CrossFit than they ever were made popular by weightlifting.
Yeah. I see F45 and those types of gyms, BFT and what do we got, Fit Stop and they're all kind of similar to me. I see them as a stepping stone to like a quote unquote real gym. And I say that because I own a real gym, but I see that as like the stepping stone for it. We get a lot of people that come from all those types of gyms and other group training gyms come to us because they're like, I want to progress my strength in a periodized and structured manner.
Yeah.
I can't do that at F45. I can't do that at BFT. I can't do that at, insert other place. And that's why they come to us. So it's great for like getting someone off the couch into a gym, exercising, losing a bit of weight. But then, after 6 months, 12 months, the results stop because there's no periodization. There's no programming. There's no, stuff that's going to get them to the next level of their training.
Yeah. And I think it's a stepping stone as well because the majority of people that I go on F45, like the majority of influencers and Instagram people that they follow, they're not doing F45.
Yeah.
The women are looking at these females that are fucking hip thrusting ridiculous amounts. They're squatting heavy. They've got the big booty. They big legs. They're looking sick. And then all the men are looking at these dudes that are just lifting like ridiculous amounts of weight. And you're just not going to get that.
They're not doing F45. Yeah.
But I do agree with the point that it's a really good stepping stone.
Yeah.
Like it does probably get a lot of people involved in exercising that otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah.
But then you just, like you mentioned, you just get to a point where it's like, okay, well, what's the next level?
Yeah.
I need more intensity or I want to hit XYZ goal.
Yeah. I think like the level one for anyone is training consistently. And then if F45 gets them on some kind of diet and tracking, that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, that's
but eating 1,200 calories is not going to last forever. Like you're going to have to learn how to do macros and calories and maintenance and, fucking refeeding, all this type of shit you need to learn on your own eventually. And that's the next level. Yeah. And that's like level 2. And then, hitting a program that's structured and strength and these types of things. That's level 2 for me. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
And like I know a few people, I know you probably know a few people that have worked at F45 as well. And a lot of their challenges that I've heard, they are putting people on like 1,200 calories, like, we're going to do this challenge. You're going to train six days a week, 45 minutes every day doing our, fire workout and Spartacus workout and whatever. And we're going to stick you on 1,200 calories. Yeah. And it's like, well, they're going to get semi-decent results because you're just forcing them to an insane calorie deficit that they otherwise wouldn't have. Yeah. But they're not going to get lasting results. Yeah. And then that's where kind of the education needs to come in, and that stepping stone to the level 2 is probably becomes more of a thing.
Yeah. So factors in their death for me, or the dying of F45, which I think it's going that way, is it's old. They haven't reinvented themselves. Therefore, the business model of F45 is becoming less attractive. So, they're getting less members. And then if you own an F45, you're telling your mates, don't buy an F45 franchise because you won't make as much money as you think. Therefore, the valuation drops and like the amount of F45s they're going to open has dropped. And everything is just this cascading effect of them not making something new in the fitness industry. And, the second point to that is it's just like a very small stepping stone, and there's a lot of competition in that area. Yeah, 100%. So the same people that go to F45 are going to BFT, they're going to FitStop, they're going to insert any other spot. And it's only a certain percentage of the demographic. We haven't solved the problem that 81% of Australia doesn't exercise at all. Yeah. And we're all these gyms, we're all fighting for the same fucking people, which is the problem. Like we're not picking from the 81% or the 20 million people that aren't training. We're trying to pick from the couple million that are training, and everyone's fighting over the scraps, which the bigger problem is that like F45 and those types of gyms, they are like the stepping stone for, fatties and people that, don't want to train often to get into a gym. They need to be doing a better job of getting them in. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think I completely agree with that point, because it is the stepping stone. They are getting people in. But, the things contributing to their death. There's a lot more commercial gyms now that are doing, join our gym for $15 a week. You get the whole gym floor and we do classes, on the side, like burner class, a HIIT class. That's basically what F45 is. Yeah. But I guess F45 has got that renown where they perhaps might not have done what they could have with it. Yeah. And I'm really interested as to the overwhelming force is probably that they've not changed in however many years, but I wonder what that first domino was. Like, was it Gilchrist stepping down? Was it the staff leaving? Yeah. Or was it just the sentiment across society that this isn't it anymore?
I think COVID is also a factor on it. Yeah, The fitness industry is hard as fuck, especially at the moment. So they're just getting that as well. Yeah, it's complex and there's a lot to it. And I'm like, what happens if they go under here? Like, we're going to have 600 F45 gyms that are going to turn into whatever insert brand name on their own thing, and they're going to run their own thing. And they've basically been given the toolbook on how to actually run a successful gym. So a lot of them will take it and go. Like, there still are a lot of pumping F45s, which would be interesting to see if they will rebrand to fucking Barry's 45 or, Marcus's 45 or, what the fuck will happen there? And then they can regulate their own pricing and times and timetables and classes and all this. It's fucking interesting.
And then it's going to be another battle of, whether they survive or not, because that's probably going to be a whole nother learning curve for them as well. Like, they're used to following this model for so long and now the model's gone. It's kind of like, what do we do? But then as well, like a lot of the F45s that I've seen, like there are quite a few that are kind of in these standalone areas. They'd probably be repurposed as another gym or renamed or something. But there's a lot of them that kind of like, they're in like a shopping center or they're near a shopping center or something like that. And it's like, if the F45 is going to go under, are these still going to be gyms? Or are these just going to become something else, like a cafe or a clothes store or something like that? And then it's like, okay, you're losing a location, you're losing a gym where they could potentially have gotten in a portion of that 80% of Australians that don't train. Yeah. And now it's gone. So it's like there's these 600 locations, maybe a couple hundred in WA, and it's like, okay, now it's 50 of them. We've lost 150. How much, not just how much business have we lost, but how many lives have we forgone changing?
All I'm thinking here is Helix is going to pump.
Yeah.
We're going to get there's fucking shitloads of F45s around us.
Yeah, there is.
Fuck, we could be picking up some serious numbers. We're going to need some expansion here going forward.
Yeah. it's going to be, keep
fucking blood in the water, bro.
Yeah, keep the community vibe high and see where it goes.
There is blood in the water, like 100%. Yeah, it's the whole thing is super interesting. I wonder how this whole thing even happened. But like where do you think the fitness industry is going in the next 5 years? Like, you're an avid consumer, you follow all the pages. You like, is it going to be a trend to more 247 or boutique gyms like Helix, or where do you see it? Do you speak to more people about it? I'm fucking biased as shit because I think Helix is the best. I think
it's a combination of both. Like, I don't think 24/7s will ever die out.
Yeah.
But I think there has been, in my experience in the last 3 years being a part of Helix, and I think going forward there will be more of a significant portion of people that are going to opt for the more boutique gym because not only are they going to be looking for getting value for their money and getting coaching, proper programming, but the biggest thing for me joining Helix, and I think for a lot of people joining Helix and sticking around as an example, is like the community aspect and having like-minded people around you and being pushed by people. And I'm not saying that you don't get that from 24/7 gyms, but these boutique gyms and Helix in particular, it's an environment where it's cultivated to, really bring that community about, really like enforce it and keep it pumping and get people involved and get people getting results. But above that, keeping them happy because, they've got a community around them that supports them.
Yeah. I think it's such an undervalued aspect of gyms.
100%.
Like, people just look at the price and they're like, that's expensive. I'm paying $9 a week and go to there. But you can go to $9 a week and get a bag of shit, like at a commercial gym, not get any results. And then it's a waste of $9 a week. Yeah. And like, the people is what makes it, if you're surrounded by like-minded people doing stuff with their life, odds are you're going to be a like-minded person doing stuff.
And we're social animals.
Yeah.
So it's like, we want that.
Yeah.
We want that community. We want to feel loved. You know?
So thanks for checking out this episode of Mostly Uneducated Opinions. Let Marcus know how he did. His first podcast. I think he fucking killed it.
Oh, thanks, man.
How do people find you, Marcus?
On Instagram, marcus.edwards, or it's EDWRDS.
Okay. So no A on there.
No A, yeah.
Awesome. If you guys love this episode, don't forget to share it to your story and share the love. Tag myself at Tim Frey, dot in the middle, 2 Ys. And then Marcus, I'm not going to try to go through that again. Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Killed it, bro.
Cheers, bro.
How do you think that went?
Good. It's fucking easier when you're having a